Hey friends, let's get moving. I want to share with you one move today called a deadlift. Now, a deadlift, they sometimes get a bad rap. You might hear people that work out a lot or that go to the gym a lot and do deadlifts, especially with weights, that deadlifts are how you can really hurt your back. And that's certainly true, but deadlifts can actually also help you really strengthen your back if you do them mindfully and if you start simply with just your body weight. So that's what we're gonna do today. And to get started, I'm gonna turn sideways so I can show you. I'm gonna have my feet right underneath my bony hip points, and my feet are gonna be pointing straight ahead. So my toes aren't turning out towards the sides. And then I wanna make sure that my pelvis is backed up over my heels, okay? So sometimes you might have the tendency to stand kind of like this. No harm, no foul, no judgment. But for the deadlift, you really wanna make sure that you start with your hip joint stacked over your ankle joint. So that's gonna feel like a little weight in your heels so that you can pick your toes up and you don't fall backwards, okay? The next thing to think about are your kneecaps. So I'm gonna turn back to face you for this one. So if you are engaging the fronts of your thighs, your quadricep muscles, whether that's consciously or it's probably subconsciously or unconsciously, your kneecaps will be lifting up away from the ground, okay? So you can kind of feel around and notice what is happening on the fronts of your thighs. Can you relax that tension, that gripping in the fronts of your thighs so that your kneecaps release towards the ground? If this feels inaccessible to your mind or too difficult to think about while you're standing, you can also try this while sitting down in kind of a slouched position with your leg kind of out in front of you. If you don't have a chair nearby, you can also lean up against the wall and take one leg out in front of you. And if you look at your leg, it can kind of help your brain make sense of what you're thinking about. And you can try to relax your kneecap there. Sometimes you have to like over-exaggerate the contraction in order to know if you're contracted or relaxed. So another thing that you can do is to try thinking about lifting your kneecap consciously so that you're really getting a good contraction on the quadricep and then relaxing the kneecap fully so that you know that you're relaxed. Once you know that you can relax your kneecaps, let's come back to that feet hip distance stance with the pelvis shifted over the heels and the kneecaps relaxed. So there's a lot to think about so far. Neutral pelvis is next, okay? So you don't want to be having your tail feather stick out, but you also don't want to be overly tucked. So you can always look in the mirror to help you decide where you are. Kind of an objective marker is to pay attention to your bony landmarks. So the front of your hip point, and your pubic bone, you want those to be vertical. So you're gonna have to sense below any extra lovable soft tissue here in your lower abdomen and find your bone structure. Okay, the next step, we're building up from the bottom, is your rib cage. If you have a tendency to stand with your rib cage angled forward, you're gonna need to relax your rib cage down. Okay, and then the last part is your head. So you just wanna find a gaze at the horizon, nice long neck, making sure that you're not reaching forward with your chin. And then relax your kneecaps again. Do all the things at the same time or do your best, okay? So you're gonna rest your hands on the fronts of your thighs, and you're gonna start to shift your hips back as you lean your torso forward. Your hands are gonna slide down the thighs. So first I'm just gonna go a very little bit to show you that the rib cage and the pelvis move together. Okay, and then you're gonna exhale, and it's coming from your hamstrings and your glutes and your core to stand back upright. Okay, now when you stand back up, you're not standing back up all the way like this with your hips thrust forward again. Just come back to hip joint over ankle joint. Okay, so again, gonna lean your torso forward as your hands slide down your thighs. Relax your kneecaps. As you pitch your torso forward and your hips move back, can you feel your core musculature turn on automatically? That's what we want. And then exhale to stand up. Okay, inhale. So maybe you just pitch forward a very little bit. Maybe you come towards a 45-degree angle between here and parallel to the ground. You know, you can choose how far you go. If you're just starting out, I would recommend only leaning forward a bit at a time until you sense what your body is ready for and what feels well to you. So find what's kind, lean forward any amount. That's your inhale. And then exhale, stand up. Inhale, exhale, stand up. Inhale, exhale, stand. Let's do one more together. Great. So if you go really slowly, intentionally and mindfully, you probably won't have to do very many of them until you start to feel your parts getting fatigued. I would say go until you feel some fatigue, but not so much that you feel like you're aggravating your back. So that is a deadlift. It can be such a helpful exercise for strengthening your lower back when done mindfully and intentionally, paying close attention to your alignment and not pushing too far. So remember to find what's kind. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.